Okay. Hey, everybody. I hope everybody's doing good. You can feel free to share this link out now if you want, and people should be able to watch on their Facebook page or in the future once the video publishes. I'm going to keep it brief, keep it straight to the point. We'll get right into it. If you guys live in the Midwest, or if you live in the North or South U.S., or even on the East Coast now, you're probably keenly aware of the severe weather situation that happened yesterday. We had multiple tornadoes break out. That was across Iowa. That was across pretty much the entire Midwest, going all the way north to Michigan and Wisconsin. And what we're looking at here currently, I've put some links down below the video so you guys can follow along with this. We're looking at the Weather Channel right now, of all things, and you can come up here and turn on their storm enhancement, storm tracking. This is Titan storm tracking. The computer detects what's going on inside of the individual storm cells, and it places an ID on that, keeps track of where it's going. Been posting that information. If you guys keep up to date on my Facebook page, I take screenshots of all that, and last night was just, I mean, so many different storms broke out. Each individual cell broke into different tornadic development. Multiple tornadoes detected. We've got great footage of that. Some of it's pretty tragic. A lot of people lost a lot of property. I don't know actually what the damage was. We're still getting an assessment on that, but great screenshots of it as it developed. This is Omaha. 3 separate tornadoes broke out across Omaha and blew across Iowa. You can see the hook signature in here. This was live on radar as we were watching it blow in towards right over the next rad, by the way, just ironically. And it was just a wild time last night. I hope everybody's okay. Same time that actually happened, last night in New Mexico, a large wildfire, I suppose, broke out, but look where it broke out. It broke out in a volcanic area again. Okay, so we've got clearly what are old dormant volcanoes being mined, and Black Peak is the name of the area. However, viewer in the area sent pictures, which I posted up here at the top of my Facebook page. Let's see if we can get to that. There we go. Okay, here it is. So you can see this is an actual wildfire back in the back country, but the feed, if you see this, let me just go ahead and show you the feed while we're looking. This doesn't really play into the weather too much, other than the smoke particles that mix with the storm could actually possibly mitigate the storm. They found that wildfire smoke actually causes a mitigation of the storm. So right here is the spot where the plume was occurring. It was huge yesterday. We still have a large amount of wind in the area from the storm just to the north. And now let me bring you back over here to the Weather Channel. And we had a snow outbreak reach over here into Kansas last night. Posted screenshots of that. Really interesting to see that. Jumped onto the Kansas Department of Transportation and got screenshots of the snow falling all the way as far east as Oakley. If you guys have driven west, you know what I'm talking about. You get out there near Colby and Oakley. That's still in pretty much western Kansas. We're not talking Colorado like you would normally expect. And the temperatures down into the teens along the front range of the mountains, and 80 degrees here in St. Louis out in front of the storm. So that, of course, mix causes a massive outbreak like what we're seeing here. So on the Weather Channel, the computer is detecting each one of these blue signatures is a separate detection of hail inside of the different cells. And you can see it just extends all the way from South Texas all the way up here to Iowa. So what do we need to watch out for over the next several hours going into tomorrow? Well, we're going to have to watch the Midwest, South, and East Coast, obviously. You can see each line of storm that's coming off the Gulf here. Yellow indicates possible damaging winds, and you can see the red here that indicates a possible tornado and hail. National Weather Service warnings. Okay, take a look, guys, and this is from the Weather Channel. We can go look on multiple systems if you don't trust that the Weather Channel is giving you the right warnings here from the National Weather Service. But we have one tornado warning. This is up here right east of Detroit. Let's zoom in on this. I'm sorry, just west of Detroit, northwest, by a few miles. This is a tornado that looks like it's actually developed. National Weather Service has issued a warning coming out of Michigan, heading towards Detroit. That's real time now, so that's a new development. We need to be aware, if you live up in the region, that that's actually a National Weather Service designation, which indicates rotation or funnel cloud. But if you can see, there's no actual warnings or watches issued yet on these storms. However, and this is lagging a little bit because I guess I'm on Google Hangouts. Let's go ahead and turn on the storm tracks again. Okay, National Weather Service only has warnings and watches posted up here to the north. And if anybody wants to call that into question, let's jump over here to College of DuPage, and we'll take a look on the continental U.S. And if you're following along, you can click on Radar Mosaic for the last 48 images. That'll give you the most current view. And then up here, you've got a button that's WX Watches, that's Weather Watches, and that lets you know the areas to watch. So we've got flood warnings issued down here to the south, a lot of flood warnings, and our severe warnings, T-storms, are not indicated here yet. However, the region is definitely experiencing heavy hail, damaging winds, and a possible tornado in Oklahoma. The only area that's showing a T-storm warning is down here to the south in Texas. So let's bump back over here to the Weather Channel, turn that back on. Oh, and up over Chicago, of course. Yeah, okay, so it matches here. Now we're going to have to watch as these storms push east, northeast. You can imagine people out here on the roads waiting for that alert to get issued. They're driving into it right now without the appropriate warning unless they have the radio on. So you can expect possibly large hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds or greater, and that's according to the National Weather Service designation of damaging winds. It's pretty interesting to see that they're lagging behind on this. They should be on top of it, issuing the warnings and alerts. Of course, these will expand overnight. Last night, again, if you guys want to jump over to my Facebook page, you will see all the different footage that's coming. We had a guy or a storm chasing team that accidentally drove pretty much into the center of a tornado. And they grazed off the side, floored it, made it through. You can see it around them. It's amazing footage. It's foolish, of course. They're lucky. They did not mean for it to happen. You can see it come down on top of them as they're already cruising. So pretty interesting to see that go on. Now let's jump over to the live weather feeds page. I'm going to hit refresh on this just to make sure we've got the most current images. And this is a series of feeds from AccuWeather, Intellicast, National Weather Service, and internationally all the way from Africa to Asia, a bunch of links to the weather services around the world that are all live streaming. I'm going to draw your attention to a few of these. The one I'd really like to show you is the NIU, and that's pretty much towards the top. You can make it out here. I'm going to click it, and we're going to let it go. This is going to show us the radar feed from this morning till this afternoon. And let me see if I can zoom this in at all. Notice what's going on here out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And you might not be able to see it. It is, well, it's a radar station that's in searchlight mode. And that's a term that they use. It's what I would call a rotating pulse. And it is. It's definitely a rotating pulse that's occurring. They censor that off most of the feeds. It shows on NIU, and it used to show on the unquality control feed from the National Weather Service. However, they've done something to that feed to make it pretty much unintelligible. So let's just show you. Okay, you can see it didn't used to do this. They did this when they realized that we were starting to look for pulses, and they made every station go into full pulse mode and update at different times. Used to be a nice, smooth, clean feed. Now they do this. So it's pretty much impossible to see it here. However, it is occurring on the NIU feed. Last night also, and it's posted on my Facebook page, we saw a pulse event out of Dover Air Force Base again. And let me just show a screenshot of that to you here. So we are watching Dover for the next 48 hours. Well, now, yeah, 48 hours. We need to watch for the center of this pulse at the Air Force Base to get hit. Now, you may have heard Dover Air Force Base before. I've got a screenshot of it from here. Let me just click on this for you. This is on my public Facebook page. Several people always say, "What is this? What are we looking at here?" This was a pulse that came from Dover Air Force Base and followed by a severe weather outbreak where the only tornado warning occurred was over Dover Air Force Base. Severe thunderstorms blew into the area. The only spot to get a tornado was the Air Force Base that had the pulse previously, 12 hours before. Okay? And so massive pulse followed by severe weather event hitting only the center of that Dover. So specific. Tornado 2 on the East Coast and Dover, come on. That's why we pay attention to the pulses. So overall, this severe weather event that's going on now, we've got to watch out tonight. National Weather Service clearly lagging behind in issuing these watches and warnings for whatever reason. You know, they might just be not wanting to desensitize people to severe weather. However, across Oklahoma, southern Missouri, it's better to be safe than sorry. As we know, tornadoes can come down at a moment's notice. And if you're out on the road, not knowing that this is going on or thinking that, oh, okay, they haven't issued a warning for this, it's not as severe as we might think. Well, the line of hail, again, you saw it extends all the way from South Texas all the way to Iowa, pushing east by northeast. That means Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, Iowa, Arkansas, Louisiana, eastern Texas, also Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Ohio, possibly even as far east as Georgia. The storm itself is rotating counterclockwise. And to see that, let me bring you back over here to College of DuPage. And I'm going to open up the Northern Hemisphere view. And this is going to kind of give us an overall view of what's going on not only in the U.S., but Canada, Central America, and even out in the Pacific. Once it loads, I always recommend that you turn on the color enhancement. This is going to show you the cloud height and temperature. Cloud height and temperature is, of course, going to indicate the powerful nature of the storm. So you can see here across the Midwest, as the storm is rotating counterclockwise. Let me slow this down so you guys can see it. As the storm is rotating counterclockwise, it pulls up from the south, and you see this bright red signature here. This indicates a very high cloud top, thunderstorms, tornadoes reaching all the way up into the stratosphere. And of course, the temperature up very high is very cold, and that's shown here on this map. Now, off the west coast, coming off of Alaska, you can see another large, very slow rotating low pressure system. What it's doing is it's starting to shear off the tropics and bring another blast, which over the next several days, most likely, will be coming up over Mexico. Now you can see the storms down here over Mexico getting torn off and brought over the Gulf. Luckily, this next round most likely will come up over Texas. Okay? Let me get a drink of coffee here, 1 second. Oh, man. Normally I can stop when I'm making a video and take a sip of coffee. This is one long stream of consciousness forecast here, guys. So the storm that's coming in from the Pacific Northwest is going to push this up to the northeast, and we'll have another severe weather outbreak again, this time across the south, once this mixes with the cold blast that's coming in from the north. To see the cold blast, and this is pretty crucial, because we're still seeing snow happen in Kansas here at mid-May. I mean, that's kind of a big deal. Nobody wants to talk about it. I don't understand why. I mean, it's kind of abnormal. I will say that for sure. And that's kind of putting it mildly. I've been talking about this with Tattooed and Chrissy and others behind the scene, that, you know, if we get to May and we're still seeing snow, we might have a crop planting problem, at least, if not a price problem, come the fall with dead crops due to freezing temperatures. Now, I'm going to turn on the rainbow enhancement view. Again, this is the same view we were just looking at from the Northern Hemisphere. However, it's zoomed in on the U.S. And we've got another blast. You might not be able to see this here. Let me slow it down. Another blast coming in from the northwest. That's not the big low up here that I just showed you. It's actually rotating up here over Canada. Now, that's going to influence the storm down here to the south, which is counterclockwise rotating as it's throwing up these storms across the Midwest. This next outbreak, this is yesterday, okay, so it gets pretty big, and I'm going to stop it there. Okay, This is what's going on right now. So we have at least 4, if you count also over Lake Michigan, 5 separate cells that are each individually as strong as yesterday's single strong cell event. So there we go. There's yesterday. Well, let me bring it forward a little bit more. There's our pinnacle of yesterday's event, and then it kind of fizzles out overnight, and there we go. Last frame right there. So finally, let's jump back over and take one last look at current Titan storm tracking and current severe weather outlook. All right, so I mean, it's actually developed even worse over the past 10 to 15 minutes since I've been talking. Let's go ahead and turn on the National Weather Service alerts, see what comes on. And let me turn off some of these other live feeds. They still haven't issued any weather alerts for Oklahoma, Southwest Missouri, or any one of these strong cells that are producing damaging winds and hail. And that's confirmed damaging winds and hail. Let's just get some storm designations on any one of these. Of course, this is lagging. It's probably starting to fill up with people checking in to see what's going on because there hasn't been a weather alert issued for their area, but they're hearing huge claps of thunder, seeing blowing wind, and hearing hail hit their house. Makes you wonder what the heck's going on. Why wouldn't they have those alerts issued? Now, of course, somebody's going to say, oh, there's storm spotter alerts. Look, go to the SPC website at NOAA.gov. I'm talking about grandmas out on the road that are waiting for an alert to come across the radio or for a forecast to be issued where they have a watch already issued for an area we know is going to get creamed. Look, if you were paying attention to the severe weather yesterday and the snow that came into Kansas last night, you know that the mix of temperature here to the west, 30 degrees, 20 degrees. Out here to the east, St. Louis, 80 degrees. 60-degree differential in between, 50 to 60 degree, in between the front and the back of the storm. It's also counterclockwise rotating, pulling up from the Gulf of Mexico all the moisture it needs. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to issue a watch area for a region. I can't get my mind around this. So you can see all the hail designations going now all the way down to Mexico. This just developed all the way across the state of Texas in the time that I was talking. Now we've got a line reaching right down north of, let's see, northwest of San Antonio, and also redeveloping right across the border at Piedras Negras. So guys, have a severe weather plan ready and be prepared. You can see all these little individual cells starting to develop here across the south. Each one of them, I'm sure, is producing a fair amount of lightning, thunder, possibly spot hail, as you can see, as designated by each storm track. And you're not getting the appropriate warnings from your officials, so it's best to be prepared, okay? Much love. Get the word out. The links are down below. This video is still going to apply for the next several hours. Again, let me just name off the states again that we need to watch. We need to watch pretty much the entire Midwest and South. Now, I know that's a large area to watch, a long time to watch, too. So Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Kentucky, Missouri, Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan. As the storm pulls east-northeast, you're also going to need to watch up in New England. Now, of course, the storms are downwind from you now. However, you can see the direction of each storm. This will throw off these storms up your direction. It's not going to stick with the storm and pull back all the way around. Once it gets too heavy on the arm of the storm, so to speak, it will toss that off to the side. And you guys will get the leftover on all this hail and damaging winds, which most likely will produce more hail and damaging winds for you up here in New York, Pennsylvania, Vermont, New Hampshire, anywhere up in this region. Cheers, folks. Be safe. And I want to thank everybody again for tuning in. Let's see how many people came in here. Oh, we got 177 people in here. Cheers, guys, as we go off into infinity on the screen share. Much love.